In today's video I have a bit of a different kind of cassette player, and there were a lot of these made over the years, so it's another use of compact cassettes and also micro cassettes, which is sort of a smaller version, I guess, a compact cassette. This is an old Voca phone answering machine, looks like it's a 4100. Voca phone answering system model 4100. P1, Telecom Australia permit. C84 1636, so it's got a 1984 permit, so it means it was put on the market sometime after that. Division of Tube Makers of Australia Limited, is that right? I didn't know Voca phone was part of that. Probably did see it once. They did put out quite a bit of stuff, Voca. Made in Japan. I know they had a sales office here in Hobart. And you did used to see quite a few of their fax machines and answering machines around. The fax machines often weren't the greatest things, but probably did the job in the day. Trying to think where they were, but they were definitely a Voca sales place somewhere in the city of Hobart. So we've got a couple of compact cassettes in here. Even says made in Japan, so that's an original factory Voca tape, 60 minutes. That's your recording one, of course, for the messages left. And your announce tape, 10 minutes. Why you would even need close to 10 minutes on an announcement tape, but maybe there was the option to do multiple announcements or something. And yeah, no idea who made the mechs, but supposedly Tanishan, another thing they made was a lot of answering machine mechanisms, which doesn't surprise me because there were a lot of answering machines around once. I know I used to repair quite a few in the 90s. Not so much after that, well, they started going digital later on anyway. But these were a thing a lot of people did have. I don't know percentage wise, but quite a few people did get an answering machine just because the days before mobile phone was common, even when they were still expensive, well into the 90s. It was handy just to have one of these on your home phone. Don't know what this cover does, but we've got MFDP, is that pulse dialing, and what's MF mean? Well, I don't know what MF means, but not that one. So that's like a big gap in there for something. And it says case screw. We've got 4 switches on, switch 2. Unfortunately, I don't have a instruction book for it. That's just a big hole. Oh, I see something plugs in there. And we have the switch for that. So that might have been some option by the look of it. On the front we've got a microphone, that would be for, oh, you've got to plug it in actually, so a lot of these I think, oh yeah, there's a built-in mic as well, so you could put an external one on, so that would just be used to record your message. You'd put it in some sort of record message mode, say your bit, hit stop, that would then be the message that people would get when they rang your number. Once it rang a certain number of times and no one answered, this thing would kick in and say you've reached so-and-so, sorry I can't answer the phone, please leave a message, which is what some people would do. A lot of people didn't like leaving messages, but obviously it can't have been too important in that case. But a lot easier when you had a business and stuff. If they had an answering machine, you didn't have to remember to try and call them back later or something. You just, if you're trying to ring someone to say how much it's going to cost to fix their TV or something, you just leave a message and let them get back to you. You don't have to try and remember later on, and often you'd forget. So we've got RC erase, off and on. Memo record, off and on. Message link, 30-second or unlimited. So that's probably why it's got a 10-minute tape, but I mean unlimited. I guess you could use it as like a message. I think they did use it sometimes, like, you know, for the fire service or something. If there's a bushfire on or something, you could actually record a long message on there of, this is so-and-so's fire station, we're all busy fighting a fire, these are the latest updates kind of thing. And that way people could ring the number and actually get some sort of message and get some information without anyone being present. And ring delay 1, 2, 3, I don't know if that's the number of rings, but it's probably just different settings. It might be 1 is 5 rings, 2 is 10 rings, 3 is some other amount. But I assume that's what it is, how long it delays before it answers. But you could actually have it so it immediately answers on 1 ring or whatever. I think it'd be different than just 1, 2, 3 though. Must not be installed within 100 feet boundary of an electrical power station or substation which distributes high voltage, within 50 feet of the boundary of an electrical substation which distributes medium voltage, without prior consultation with the APO regarding power coordination procedures. So it's to do with the Telecom Australia permit, I say. They're calling it Australian Post Office, but it does say Telecom Australia on the back here. I'm not sure what year it became Telecom from APO, but I think it was the 70s more than the 80s. God, it was the 80s before they even sort of deregulated it and allowed other companies to even connect something to the phone service. And it was around this time that Dick Smith and Tandy and everyone started selling a lot of answering machines and non-standard telephones, so you could finally get rid of your rental phone from Telecom and actually supply your own phone, so you could, instead of paying God knows what a month or a year for their phone, for some old dial phone, you could buy your $14 Dick Smith little push button phone and have that instead. And you know, it'd pay itself back in no time. So it looks like this is nice. It does look very Japanese in here, very nicely made. These connectors look familiar, but I can't remember. Maybe they're just a generic Japanese connector. That's for the mic. We've got a couple others here. What do the others go to? Oh, we've got a speaker up in there and the LED board. That's a different style connector. Someone put a capacitor there though, so I can't get to it. Push that in. These ones you flick them out. Well, in theory. But yeah, we've got a speaker. So of course, if you were at home, that was the other thing you could use these for. You've probably seen it in movies and stuff where someone just uses it to screen calls. Looks like it's got room for another speaker there as well. Don't know why you'd want stereo, but so if you wanted to screen calls, you just sit there, it'll ring a couple of times, answer, and then you can hear who talks on it, or you can hear them hang up and you don't know who it is. But that's another use they used to be used for, often put to dramatic effect in movies from memory. An EG500 AD motor, 12 volt, 2400 clockwise, two other motors here, interestingly. But yeah, the circuit board in it looks very high quality, sort of clean, tidy Japanese type produced unit. And I've got some oddball bracket there. Is that all that holds that in? It is. Oh, and I see bits of belt hanging everywhere. We've got gooey belts, I think. No surprises there. But again, look at how nice it is. I mean, this stuff was pretty expensive from memory, so I guess it'd want to be reasonable. Should I dare touch that? Oh no, it's got me. Oh no, it didn't do too much on me. It's stuck to me though. I'm gonna get some paper towel off my grab, because I'm sick of getting black belt on me. So that belt's well and truly had its day. So looks like I have to get the acetone out again. A bit on the bench, come on. In the bin with you. We've got a big NEC chip there. So we've had a belt there, and another belt. What went to that? Maybe a big belt. Oh, maybe it went. Oh, no idea. That's going to be interesting. You'd think they would be two little. Well, that one loops back around. So assuming they're two little idler belts. Oh, this has got twin pulleys. I just realised what it would have to be. So it must have been a belt round those two, and then one back. Would that work? Probably. Keep the two capstans at the same speed, I guess. So they're semi sort of auto, because these are more like, well, basically touch control, logic control, soft touch mechs, whatever you want to call them, because all this is controlled by basically the phone. So this machine, when it gets so many phone rings, it actually has to tell this mechanism to operate, and then for it to stop. And then this one, after the tone, this one starts recording. So these are, you know, basically your sort of soft touch solenoid type controlled, or the motor runs everything kind of mechs. There's no play buttons and stuff as such, other than what's on this front panel. All those buttons, and you can see they just go to this little switch assembly of electronic switches. And all answering machines basically had to be like that, because that's the whole point of them, is they automatically start up when someone rings. Oh, is that another bit of build over? Oh, there's bits of build over on this side as well. It's everywhere. I think this thing's been standing on its end at some point, because you're stuck to the end. Another bit there. I want all that gone before because I'm bound to touch it otherwise. Oh, there's another piece. Jesus, everywhere. Well, I guess it was a fair bit of belt in there if there was 4 belts actually. I don't think I've actually got enough out to be all 4 belts. Mind you, one of them's still mostly there. I think that's the worst. Oh, there's another bit. As soon as you say you think you got it on, there's another bit. God, the more you look, the more you see. Is that it now? That's definitely just a black cable. Bell.D on that switch. That doesn't really mean much, but what does it say underneath it? Switch 1 on, that's all. So quite a bit of gear in here. That's a little amplifier chip, I think. A UPC 575C2, that looks familiar. 2 relays there, another relay there, and that's probably, this will be your phone line here, I guess, because usually you had to have an isolation transformer and stuff. Possibly the relay 2 is to do something with the phone line. Which plug is it? The grey wire. No, wait, grey wire is power, isn't it? Black wire. That's what they've done here. They've actually got a figure 8 cable for the phone line, so it's not your normal flat modular cable. Yeah, that comes into here, so all this has got to be isolated from the phone line for safety reasons. That's your capacitor to let the ringing signal through, I would think, since it's AC. Blocks the DC on the line. And yeah, that anything on this side is basically isolated by a transformer, relay, or we don't have any opto couplers in this thing. That's the sort of thing you had to isolate this, so there was no way that 240 volts could somehow end up going down the phone line and electrocuting some poor line technician working on a pillar in the street or something. So they were very careful about safety that way, and probably a fair thing too, because you definitely didn't want people touching low voltage stuff and suddenly having problems. I'm just looking at 2 BA6209, I think they're both BA6209 ICs. Yeah, they were motor drive chips like you'll find in VCRs and stuff. Hang up dial, mark ER, switch 2, doesn't say what it is. So look at the sections are your line switch, line. So they've labelled power, motor, yeah, like I was just saying, they have the motor drive chips, amp. They say the amp's over here. Oh, amp, yeah, it says amp next to the, we've got bias oscillator, amp next to that chip that I said. Where's the speaker plug in? It's the white wire came down to that 2-pin down here, so it's over there. Oh, because there's a socket. Is that that can't be a headphone socket, surely? Earphone. It's got an earphone socket on an answering machine. What the? I guess why not, for that matter. But yeah, I don't think I've ever noticed an earphone socket on an answering machine before. That's a little bit overboard. What have we got here? The actual power switch under there. So it's carefully isolated from everything else and covered up to pass the telecom approval. 2 fuses, 3 fuses in it. I think they're basically fusible resistors. Yeah, it says FR2, FR3. I think that one's FR1, yeah. So they're always the thing to look for in TVs. I think a lot of the Sonys and that use them. I think there's just a standard little 1/4 watt resistor in there, but it's in a tube, ceramic tube, so when it cooks it can't set fire to anything. It's like a safety thing, even though they are made out of a different kind of material, so they cook up quickly. But yeah, we're not going to get any action out of this without some new belts in it. I guess I should see if it does actually at least do something when I plug it in. Oh, I've got most of this stuff unplugged. I'll move that before I get stuff. So I might put the lights back in. Just see if we've got something lighting up here. which we do. Something went click in the relays. We've got power. Something's flashing. Answer is flashing. Was flashing. Oh, now power's flashing, so maybe it's doing some sort of self-test. Yeah, that definitely turns it off. It's probably looking for the mechs to do something. A lot of these, I think they used to run like some sort of, the mech would start up and run, maybe find its place, like make sure the announce tape was back at the beginning. And these used to just, yeah, put a beep each time. I don't think these cared too much, except when you went to erase it. They used to rewind. Well, they didn't actually erase anything. That was, so this will still have messages on it probably. That was the funny thing about old answering machines. If you ever get one, put that in a normal cassette player and you can hear all the last messages, because it used to just rewind and either record a blank bit or record a beep. It recorded something at the beginning of the tape, I think, which meant basically this is the end of all the important messages, or this tape's blank. So I did have a tape here somewhere that had some answering machine stuff still on, but I think that was just a test tape I used to use, that short one I had somewhere. Because I actually built the, was that Electronics Australia answering machine tester, which was just a little box that put out the voltages like a phone line and had a ring function, and you could plug two phones into it, basically a telephone and an answering machine. You could make it ring and then see if this thing would pick up, listen on the other phone, make sure the message was there. So it was a handy little thing. I just built it on a bit of, oh no, actually I did design a proper circuit board for it, that's right. I was going to say it was originally designed on Vero board and I made a proper circuit board up for it. I wish I'd kept it now, because I thought I'll never need that again and threw it away, but now it would be handy to have something, because there's no analog phone lines anymore, so you can't even test it on a normal phone line if you want to. But just to test these things, it was good to have something that would make a ringtone. This thing would then answer and you could just listen to it, leave a message as well, make sure it recorded it, and that's about all you had to do. So I can't remember what actually used to go wrong with these things. I know I used to fix them occasionally for people, because they'd ask if I could fix their answering machine. I think it was probably mechanism faults. Don't think the electronics usually played up in them, but I could be wrong about that. I really can't remember now, but I know I did repair a few of them over the years. Just one of those things, that's why I ended up building a tester, but it was good, you know, good for testing telephones and stuff off the phone line as well. Used to repair a few phones for a hospital and stuff, and just handy if you've got a separate box. You're not, you know, clogging up your business line or anything. You just plug phones into it and test the basic functions. As long as you've got the 50 volts going into them, you can check that they're dialing and all that sort of thing, because I used to get dialing issues and they wouldn't hang up properly and all sorts of weird stuff with them, blown transistors and stuff. So that's another reason, and that's why I'm actually in a silicon chip magazine to put out a more recent one someone designed up for them. So I've got all the parts here. I got all the parts about 2 years ago or something to build one, and then I've been busy with other stuff, so I'll have to get onto that one day. But maybe we'll have a go at this mechanism. Because basically I want to get rid of all this cassette stuff out of my shed. I sort of started collecting a bit to do some videos on, and it's got way out of control really. Oh yeah, you can see the two belts on here. That's where the rest of them is. And so we've got the sort of, I assume if we press that, we've got the auto or self-operating sort of mechanism. It hasn't quite gone into play yet. And it doesn't, oh it stopped, didn't it? So you've got to keep pressing the solenoid sometimes. Oh yeah, it just went off. Oh, I'm going the wrong way I think. Now it's it pushes in and then it drops again, so probably it should stop about there somewhere. We're in play mode. Oh, that doesn't hold up though, does it? Something should latch. Maybe I've got to press the solenoid again. Just drops back. There, because I'm pressing the solenoid. Yeah, if I let go, oh yeah, well this maybe the mech, exactly that's what it's got to do. It's got to come up, hold the solenoid in while it plays the message. As soon as it gets to the little tone or whatever to tell it the message is over, solenoid lets go, and well, it didn't really drop right back, did it? Well, it made a liar out of me, as it always does. Oh wait, do I have to press it again? Oh, that's it. There's some little sequence like that. Don't know if this is a tension or what the hell this is. It's got a label with a number on it, but that doesn't mean a much. Anyone could have made this thing. but you wouldn't think there'd be that many manufacturers of answering machine mechanisms. What have we got here? There's a couple of little circuit boards as well as 2 switches. Oh, there's some sort, is that an optical? Oh no, it's got a Hall effect. There's a little Hall effect thing sticking through. There's magnets under these reels, so they're motion sensors of the reels. And yeah, these other motors just stick through, and well, actually that's not the motor itself, but the bit they go to, the pulley they go to does the idler. So we've got a separate idler and a separate capstan for I'm not sure what reason. But these machines will probably make sense because there's no slide bars in here. There's a thing to lift the heads up and back, but if you've got control of these, I'm getting black stuff on me again. If you've got control of the reels separately, you don't need to move anything in the mechanism to go and rewind, fast forward, because these machines, that's what they did. They'd record a bit, or they'd play, like for this one, they'd play the tape, then they'd do the record thing on the other deck, and this one would have to rewind and queue itself up again for the next caller. So that would be the idea. If you've got reels, you don't need as much mechanical stuff. We've got one sort of mech that slides up and down, but because we haven't got all these different slide plates to push on these bits, all you got to do is run it one way or run it the other way. That's why they got those BA ICs, I reckon, because they can reverse things. So they can run a motor forward or backwards. I'm not sure what the commands, but there's 1 or 2 lines that go into them that another, like the microprocessor, can tell them which way to run the motor. So yeah, nice simple little design by the look of it, but I better get all this black stuff off before I get any more on me. And then, oh yes, it's the upper pulley, obviously is the only one. Both decks have muck in those, and yeah, the lower pulley I think lines up with that motor better, so we've definitely got 1 belt around the bottom pulley on this one, and then 1 belt went round the pair of them, and 2 short belts for the reels. So I'll clean that up and we'll have another look at it. Oh, I've got nice rings on my hand from accidentally sitting that on one of these capstans here, so I think we'll give them another wipe down. And it just keeps coming. Wow, I wouldn't have thought I'd get so much off with paper towel, but there you go. These ones are really bad. Try another cotton bud, see if we can't soak out a bit more out of these ones. These ones are going to be the difficult ones, I think. Seems to be well embedded in there. Definitely some stuff down deep in here, and oh god, look at that, still coming out. Oh god. I wonder it's not getting much cleaner. It must be a deep slot in here. Deep sort of groove. And the belt's gone right down inside that. Oh, it's like ink coming out of there. Now I'll put my fingers on the damn stuff. I normally would try and keep away from the plastic away from this stuff, but I might pour a bit into its own lid. Whoops. Not a very good bottle. Judging what goes where, and I'm just going to soak that in there. Oh yeah, there's black stuff coming out everywhere. Look at it. Holy. I don't think there's a clutch or anything in there I need to worry about, not on that bottom bit. Definitely don't want to soak this top bit. Wow. That is some belt. Or is there a clutch in there? I hope not. No, it's probably, I might need to re-oil it a bit, I guess. Yeah, that's probably, might want to put some lube back down on there. Assuming it has, what the hell does that, all of it just disappeared suddenly. Oh, what on earth is going on here? Oh, it's gone under the, can I say the little lid things floated up. Oh, is that what it is? I thought, where did all the black go? And then when I pressed this in, it seemingly went dark again. I thought, nice optical illusion that. Well, that's as good as that's going to get, I think. There's a tiny bit down the bottom there, but it's pretty clean. Ah, touched it, didn't I? God damn it. Yeah, that just pretty much dissolves it away, which is brilliant. As you lift it up, you can actually see the stuff running off. But some of that's still quite thick by the look of it. It's amazing how there's always something to dissolve anything in our arsenal of chemicals and stuff. Wow, that just keeps coming. What the? Off you go. Oh, why won't that dissolve? It's getting there. Yeah, it's still on the end of my screwdriver as part of the problem. Get that off. And putting that back on, I think, is the issue. Oh, we're getting there. Still a thick layer there somewhere. Wow, that is a lot of muck. But yeah, we're getting there. We're winning. Oh, I think those ones are getting pretty good. But yeah, it's certainly good enough to put some new cheap belts in there anyway. Just to get the thing running. I wouldn't be surprised if this actually still works. Only problem is, am I going to test it without an answering machine tester or analog lines? But anyway, we can probably test the basic functions for now. I might have to wait until I get around to building that thing. That tester, that bit still seems to have some, oh god, does it have something in there? I can see it scraping out. What the? Ah, big chunky bits in there still. Wow, that one really was caked in there. I need a bigger screwdriver. Try and scrape all that out. They feel pretty free, so I don't think I'll even bother lubricating those. I don't want to risk getting oil on anything, but something to think about in the future. I mean, if you're going to get this thing going for good, it would probably be a good idea. But if I'm just going to get it going to have a basic look at it, basic resurrection, I don't think it's worth wasting time on it. Unfortunately, I don't have any idea whether these mechanisms are Tanishin or someone else in Japan. But there are a few patents of these around, so I guess I could have a look at those, see if there's anything that looks anything like this particular mech. Don't know if anything's really a dead giveaway other than that. Nothing to really indicate it's them or anyone else. Are there any shared bits? I think they had a patent for these pins in something. Not sure if they were quite those ones, but some sort of pins to hold tapes in place. And the heads and everything are nice and clean in this thing. Really, it's looking fine, so I guess we need to find some belts. What sort of length do we want here? Oh, it is quite small. Even that one's too big. And that's quite small. What's that like? Same size. It would be good if we can use some of these smaller belts up, because like I say, they're probably going to have to be tossed out soon because there's just too many of them. That feels pretty good. So the size of that is, what are we looking at there? An inch or so in diameter, I guess. That sort of thing. It's a little bit big. Oh, no, that's pretty close. That's bigger. I think that other one will be close enough on it just to get it going. It might be still a little bit too loose. That one stretches just nicely. Yeah, you can see that one's sticking out a bit there. It's a little large. That's a bit smaller. Maybe we'll go for that one. Get on there. It's a bit reluctant to go in. Yeah, that'll do for those. And what do we need? We need something from there to that quite large pulley. That's actually not bad. Okay, this one should be around the right size. That's pretty much perfect, I think. Yeah, it grips nicely. A little lumpy there maybe, but yeah, it's close enough for what I want. And God, that's quite a long belt, that one, I think. Don't know that any of these are going to even go close. Well, I've got like 127. Let's see how that compares, because it's very rare to use those sort of size. Wow, that is a long square belt, isn't it? That's a bit too big. I don't seem to have a lot of in this range either, because probably if I did ever use them, I wasn't going to buy another one, because I think some car stereos use belts a bit like that. Yeah, 105 then 127. Let's look at the 1.4s. Maybe I have them in the 1.4s. Oh yeah, 115 is the next one below 127. That's probably going to be close then. Oh, that's not bad. Probably a little. Oh, that's fine. Possibly could be a little shorter, but well, it's not slipping at all. It does. You can sort of see it bulge out a little bit there. Let's put it back in there and see if we at least get some sort of boot up sequence or something. Probably have to have the tapes in as well. What is stopping that going in? Oh, that wiring's got to go over the motor, is that what it is? I think we had a couple of these little plastic screws in here. Oh, that was the message tape went on that side, I think. Announce tape went on that side. Oh, there we go. Oh, look at that. Oh, if I had a speaker in there, I might be able to hear it. And what's that? Some sort of joiner, or is it just a leader tape and then it stopped? So I think that's what they normally did. They'd boot up, maybe just as a thing to remind the person what message tape was in there. As they booted up, they would read your message to you. Oh, I don't need the microphone. Let's get the speaker and the LEDs back in place. I think that will, I guess we'll leave it up so we can see what's going on. Not hearing a thing. I would have expected something. Oh wait, what have we got? Race off on, route, message length, ring delay. And we should be able to announce. Oh, what a play message. I think the speaker's working. Ah, Here it is.
The new number for the Presbyterian Church in the parish of Tuggeranong is 313763. I repeat, 313763. David and Melba Mitchell left for overseas on 18 May and are at present in the Netherlands. Letters addressed to David and Melba at 37 Moore Street, Turner, will be forwarded to them overseas. Please note the change from 25 to 37 Moore Street, Turner, ACT 2601. The Reverend Richard Wilson. The address of the manse is 10 Maltby Circuit, Waniasa. God bless you.
I was just saying that you could use them for quite a long, informational message, and there is one, so that's interesting. Can we play the messages on here? Ooh, we're chewing tape. Hey, stop chewing me tape. Ah. Okay. So something isn't quite working there. What did I told you I should do it without the tape in there? Oh. No, we've got a flashing LED on the front, I guess means error of some sort. So I'm trying to, I've got a power switch on the end here, haven't I? But anyway, turn it off and on again. Oh, that's moving, that doesn't help. Do I have to boot that up first before it'll do anything? Or does it know there's not a tape in there? Ah, it knows there's not a tape in there, I think. Here we go. Oh yeah, capstan or take up doesn't work. Ooh. So whether that's something I did fiddling with it, or whether that's why this thing ended up on the junk heap, it looks like that side of it's faulty. So I didn't say anything about leaving a message, so maybe this has just been used as a machine to give an outgoing message. Let's see if that motor, when it operates there, or the take-up reel runs fine. So maybe it's something to do with the loading up of the other bit. So that comes up. Is it going to drop if I let it go? No. Well, that all seems to be operational. Though, oh, is it something to do with these switches or something's doesn't know that it's in play mode? Yeah, it'll be something. Oh, they're only the heads, so that's actually not bad design. I can work on this without the heads connected. It just keeps going, doesn't it? So that mech's got something weird with it. The question is what? So that switch should be closed in another position. Let's turn the power off before it goes a bit. Ooh. Solenoid just did something weird. Am I going the right way? Probably not. So that is still not in the right position, or same position as the other one. Yeah, that's the stop position. We should have that one closed, that one open. Now we've got the fun of trying to diagnose. Let's see if that switch actually says closed. Let's see if that one, when we push on it, closes. Oh, it's rather sticky though, I think that bit. Is that the issue? That one's free. Twang, twang, twang. That one not so much. It's getting there now though, I think. Yeah, I suspect the grease probably isn't the best. Oh, you have to do that, don't you? Oh, gotta press that switch. Nothing's happening. I've killed it now. The power's already come up without a problem. Yeah, it's flashing straight away. Why? Is it because that switch is closed now? Because I put the mech in a different position. What position is it in? It's in the stop position. Surely that is the position it should be in. Well, we can... Well, yeah, the machine should just take it out of that position if it's not happy with it. Oh, I left it on. Whoops. Probably shouldn't. So that, if I do that now, it resets itself. Yeah. And it's flashing at me. It's weird because it was working before, I thought. Although that was before I put it. Let's turn the power off. Maybe that should... Oh, that's done that weird thing again. That was where it was, I think. Let's try again. There we go. Yeah, and then it clicks itself off again. And it's gone back to where it was, and we've got the error. Very weird, so I don't know why this is a bit different. Don't know what that funny thing that solenoid does is, but oh, look, the reel's working now. Now, is it something to do with, I don't know. Maybe we need the heads in there for some reason. It's looking for some signal off it or something. Could be that the other tape's not in it. Yes, it's saying fault button, maybe because, oh yeah, of course we haven't got the button on that one. Was that what I did wrong? I took the second tape out. Yeah, now it's happy. But we're not getting any action out of that one. Oh, I think I put that in the wrong way around, have I? Oh, have I? I don't know. Oh, maybe there's two messages, who knows? I could have two messages, one on each side. So that's side A. We'd expect these to be on side A, wouldn't you? That seems to be rewinding a lot longer. That's going the other way. Oh, it must have found its point.
The new number for the Presbyterian Church in the parish of Tuggeranong is 313763. I repeat, 313763. David and Melba Mitchell left.
One thing I did notice is it's a long way through the tape before it gets to that message. What happens if we try the other side? There could be something different on there. So it rewinds to the very end of the tape. Fast forwards, no heads on it, so how does it know where to stop? It just goes a certain distance. Listening for a tone or something, and it rewinds.
The new number for the Presbyterian Church in the parish of Tuggeranong is 313763. I repeat, 313763. The minister is the Reverend Richard Wilson, and the address 10 Maltby Circuit, Waniassa. David and Melba Mitchell left for overseas on 18 May and are at present in the Netherlands. Letters addressed to David and Melba at 37 Moore Street, Turner, will be forwarded to them overseas.
Very interesting. So maybe there's multiple copies of the same message. So it doesn't start at the beginning of the tape. It should be reversing the other way, you would think. So it seems to go to the end of the tape, rewind, and look for something rather weird. Because it's winding all the tape onto there, so it's basically in fast forward at the moment. to the end. Back a small amount, a reasonable amount. Stops. Probably listening for a tone or something.
The new number for the Presbyterian Church in the parish of Tuggeranong is 313763. I repeat, 313763. David and Melba Mitchell left for overseas on 18 May and are at present...
It is a slightly different message. I think you mentioned someone different on the other one, which is something you could do, put different messages on different things. But now I can't get... So that one's done. That one doesn't seem to want to run now. Oh, that switch is dicky maybe. Yeah, now it's... Oh, that's an interesting message. Oh, there's rewind. Oh, gotta hold it down, do you? What the? Yeah, now it's gone back in that mode. Erase, stop, start, reset, answer. Answer. Oh, we're going to answer. It probably rewinds this. That'll get it to play. Yeah. Either way. Oh, okay. Then when I hit play, it goes into rewind, which is what it probably should have done. Probably easy to play on a normal cassette player like a boombox or something than to use this, but let's see if it should go back to the beginning of the tape or and look for a tone or something maybe, or does it just play these back? Yeah, I think until you hit erase records a tone but it leaves all the recordings on there and just tells the machine that's where to start recording again or where to start playback again. Doesn't have the best auto stop by the look of it, but I guess it's got that sensor thing, so that's about all you got most of the time. The sound of a handset going down. That's not very Christian of them. But to be fair, if this is just a playback message, that's probably what we're going to get. No one's going to leave a message if it's just a announcement. It looks like it's got an announcement only or a message, so you probably could do an announcement without recording, which would be a handy mode. It just announces and doesn't bother recording a thing. So it would have had to be an answer mode, I think, to something doesn't sound happy. So it's probably a good working machine. Got an hour of that. Well, that's switched. Oh, it's working again. Huh. Don't know if that switch is dicky or not, but maybe I fixed it. Oh, that's what it is. The belt, because the mech had moved forward, or something scraping a belt was scraping on something. Alright, I'll stop it. I'll press both of them together. That's it. Oh, don't start again. What are you doing? Uh-oh, it's doing that. Start, stop. Oh, when it starts, stop. What? Rewind, fast forward. So let's start. No idea. I'll go into one of those modes, might stop it. Now we've caused the power fault mode to come up. Better plug that microphone back in. So we know who the last people are that own this thing, most likely. Before it ended up on the junk heap. Or last people that used it, I guess, is more the point. That's the message tape. That's the announce tape. Oh, so there we have it, the dirtiest belt job I've had to do so far. See if this thing actually cleans up a bit better. It probably should. Don't know what that stuff is on that door. Oh, it comes off, thank God. So gonna need a good scrubbing to get this clean again properly. I think it's a bit yellow too. I think some of that's even belt. If it didn't get on there, it'd be a miracle, really. A bit of clean up, it might look half decent. Certainly much larger than a lot of the machines, but I think they started off with these sort of dual cassette ones and slowly worked down. Yeah, I'm thinking of the thing that would do with the tones, I think, is with the single tape machines, because you'd actually have the announcement at the beginning of the tape, often on just a little micro cassette, and then the machine would run forward looking for a tone or something, I think, and then that would be the record zone of the messages. I think that's what they used to do. They used to run on, take a little while, and then they'd get to the next message spot. So I guess they would have taken a bit longer. Let me think, if it's got to read the message and then find a spot, it would probably take a bit longer, as if you're listening to it at the other end, it would have to, ooh, naughty, what am I doing? Don't put these stuff on there. That's what acetone likes to do. What am I thinking? Tell you what, it's getting some of the dirt off it though. But yeah, I think some of the later machines did use a single tape, and I guess you'd have to wait. If the tape was quite full of messages, you'd probably have to wait. Did some of them sort of beep at you or something? Or did they just have a blank bit? I can't remember. Leave your message after the tone, I guess, and then it would have took a little, or I think they just had a longer tone. They were quite quick at fast forwarding, I think. So I think the tone just got extended while it fast forwarded quickly through the tape. And then it would get to the tone at the last tone it recorded, I guess, to signify the last message, and then you'd get your message saved, something like that. I do have a single micro cassette answering machine here somewhere, So I might have to play with that one as well, but ideally you want to get this phone tester made so that you can actually get them to answer the way they normally would, so you can really see how they operate. But anyway, that got that thing sort of resurrected for now, so thanks for watching.